are live. Welcome back. You have reached the most recent installment of the Mecca of Banter. This is your week's host, Hoove. You can find me at Young Yid on Twitter. I don't throw that out there a lot because I don't know if I want people to actually find it, but it is out there. It's not a total burner anymore, but yeah, happy to be this week's host. Let's tap in with the boys. It's Connor Sandobri. Welcome back. How you doing, man?
What's going on, fellas? Happy to be here. It's a good weekend. Good weekend. Enjoyable weekend. The surprising result of the weekend, Bielefeld ended their four-tie drought and did get a win. We did win 2-0. Goals by Bjorn Kandi and Klaus, my two favorite players. So happy to be here, fellas. Talk a little Bielefeld. Talk a little United. Let's jump in.
The commitment to the bit is amazing, and it actually makes me laugh every week. So keep that up. A man who caught 3 points, a little bit rare, maybe not in the future. Nick Hafey, how we doing?
We're good. I mean, I feel like we've kind of switched places, Hoove, even though you're still kind of on a roller coaster, but you mentioned it all last year of the roller coaster that is Spurs, but I'm definitely on a roller coaster that is Chelsea. But yeah, happy to talk about it. Obviously, you can find me on Twitter at Hafey4. But yeah, pumped to be here, boys.
Yeah, there's moments of this year where I'm seeing your season go, and I was like, I can kind of relate. I don't know if we ever hit bottom half, but
hey, not there anymore. Not there anymore.
Not there anymore.
Until next week, though.
Exactly. I'm not getting any hopes up.
The man who had a bounce back weekend against Brighton, Winks. What's going on, brother?
Top of the table.
What's up, boys? Yeah, we back.
I would never say that.
Top of the Champions League group as well. Drew Porto for the first round, so that's pretty exciting. Yeah, and then drew PSV with our C squad at the midweek. So yeah, it's just like a beautiful time of year. Like how like Christmas coming up, we got Boxing Day games, we got Champions League group stage is over now, so we won't get that really for the rest of the year. But a lot of really good Premier League games happening right now, and two happen before the end of the year. So excited to talk about all that. But yeah,
you guys are right on schedule. You guys are right on schedule. Yeah, you guys are right on schedule.
I was about to say
it happens 1 year, and now it's a schedule, which is wild. Which is a wild take.
Just check the box. It's
those
like we're here.
these teams
wild
take. They give Arsenal some trouble, don't they? And just make sure you don't get chipped from the halfway line this year. So we'll see.
We will, won't we?
That was
the team.
Deep, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll get to it, but none of those Champions League fixtures really piqued my interest.
I will say I feel like they were all very evened out.
Yeah, no heavy hitters really, but
which is probably a good thing because that sets us up for some baller
juicy round of eights,
and semis. So,
and last but not least, the manager of all managers, Henry. What's going on, Henry Wine?
What's up, fellas? It's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. Coming off probably the biggest point of the 1-point games we've had this season because we've only tied once all season, and we did it against Liverpool. So to be honest with you, I'm well pleased with that result. We'll dive into it, but I'm happy to be here, happy to talk. And I don't know, man. I find it weird that Butch isn't here. I'm not saying that the two are correlated, but Dobes was sending him some heat all day and just bringing facts, nothing but facts, no bias, just facts. And he's not here today, so I'm happy.
I was hitting Butch from Xbox or on Xbox. I was saying the stuff to him. Then I was texting him, and then he called me, and I was saying the same stuff.
For being a neutral, I also have a lot of thoughts about that game and a extremely disappointing bet that I placed the prior night. But before we hop into the weekend recap, the MLS powers it be, Don Garber himself, I believe, put the stamp of approval on some decisions that were made within the MLS world in the past week or so. The most important one being, and the one that I feel that some of us have, the highest strong opinions of, was that MLS Next Pro teams will now be competing in the US Open Cup, not the MLS teams themselves, and that goes into effect this year. So there's been some fan backlash. And amongst all of that, I think we all kind of have some strong feelings about it as well. It is the oldest organized professional soccer tournament in the country. It's actually the only bit of history that we have because every other league was too geographically far from each other to set up an established professional soccer league. So, with that intro, I know Dobes and a couple of these guys, we've been a little bit hot about it, and it sounds like a lot of people are too. So, let's hit some thoughts there.
I think my first thought, like more than anything, is just like why. Um, I think some of the good like journalists and like media coverage surrounding it, it all talks about how like right now is the best time for the MLS to get serious. We have the Copa America coming to the United States. We have the World Cup coming to the United States. The best player to ever play the game plays in the MLS. It's all of this crazy attention being drawn to this league that's never been there before, and now we come out with a decision like this where it's less games for the players, which I guess on one hand, I'm like, maybe if you're looking for a silver lining, it's there, but the fan in me is just like, what's the point of that? Like it's like, I don't know, remember when like back in the day, like you had the Olympics and you had like Michael Jordan, you had Charles Barkley, you had like all these guys making the dream team. And then for the longest time, like all the guys that went to the Olympics were like they played in the NBA, but it was like no one special and you just lost its luster. It's like something that it's a lesser product. You don't want to watch it. It's just like why no one watches soccer in the Olympics. It's just like because it's not the World Cup. So it's the same thing here when it's like when you have the history and you have something that we can cling to as fans, like why make a decision like that? It just like it doesn't make any sense. And even for the younger leagues or the lesser leagues, if you beat, Inter Miami's next pro team, there's always going to be an asterisk by it because it's like, well, those guys are younger than you. So it's like it kind of takes the competition away in my opinion, and it definitely deprioritizes it as a competition. It just cheapens the whole thing.
I think the main frustration comes in sort of like the lure and the aura of the FA Cup is the fact that it's grassroots football. It's the fact that somebody in the fourth division or fifth division can have a Tottenham, can have a Manchester United, can have a Liverpool come play at their stadium.
Hmm.
In the United States, what's sort of crazy about like the Open Cup, it's been around a century. Like it's literally been around a century. That's grassroots football. The ability for Louisville City to play an MLS team, the ability for these small teams to host a Lionel Messi, to host an Inter Miami, to host these big teams is now just gone. And I think that's the frustration is because that's the Open Cup has that lure for certain people, like especially in St. Louis. Like St. Louis, if you guys have read up on it, has 10 Open Cup titles from various teams that have
Hmm.
played dating back to like the 20s, like the Cootis teams, the St. Louis Bush teams, like that won the title. And now it's not like, I don't want to say like tainted, but it's almost like I still haven't found a positive for this because half of these games, anyway, they do feature youth teams or youth players. They do feature the young guys until it gets up until the semifinals, the finals, then they play the dogs. So I think that's where the frustration comes from is like if they were supplementing with something else or if something else was happening or if there was any sort of positive that has come out of this, then it makes a little sense. But I haven't heard anything in terms of that side of why it makes sense, why they're doing it. And I think that's where the frustration is because that's important. The ability for those teams to get exposure for players, no matter what it is, that's how you grow football versus saying, nope, it's just reserve teams. Nobody's going to watch.
Right.
Nobody's going to watch anymore. So
I was reading a lot on it um yesterday and well the last 2 days rather, and a lot of people are saying that it's very money driven because for whatever reason the Open Cup is way different than the League's Cup. Like they streamed all of the until it got to like later in the playoffs, they streamed all of the games for free on YouTube, and then I think it went to like CBS, once it got far enough along. But I don't think coming from like a sports business background, a lot of people are saying that there's just not enough money in that tournament for it to make sense for a lot of these teams, whether it's, media deals, for example, like I just said, or, I know in our case we would sell out every game, but like a lot of these maybe smaller teams aren't driving enough ticket sales revenue for it to make sense for them to be traveling on top of, I know it's nothing like Europe, but on top of all these games that they're playing with the Leagues Cup now as well, in addition to the MLS regular season games. A lot of people are saying that it's because the teams just like can't profit enough from it. And so I think it's a situation where, as a fan, like you guys said, it's super, super frustrating because, especially now that we have a team, I think that we're a little, not a little, we're a lot more invested in it, but we want to watch City play, twice a week, every week if we can, especially while these tournaments are going on. And so I think if the tournament board or whoever's in charge found a way to allow the MLS teams to make more money throughout the tournament, then whether that's signing a media deal or what, it would make a lot more sense for, and I could see the MLS rejoining the tournament, assuming they're welcome back at some point in the future. But I feel like the difference between the FA Cup and the US Open Cup is that yes, both tournaments are several different
It's
tiers of
ESPN
football.
Plus.
Exactly. But like there's
Yeah.
several different tiers of football in both tournaments, right? But the championship two, or the League Two teams in England and below have a way bigger fan base than Louisville City does, or a team in the lower level of uh soccer in America. So until those smaller clubs maybe get more support and enough to where they can be financially backed with a media deal or more ticket sales or merch or social media, whatever, a lot of people are saying it just doesn't make sense for the MLS, which sucks.
So, the some of the issue with all of it to me is that MLS put all of this on themselves. So
That's the thing.
fixture congestion, you threw in a Leagues Cup tournament that was not only the biggest cash grab that anyone's ever seen previously. No one cared about it either. The only reason anyone cared about that was because Messi won it.
Totally.
So
As the only reason I watch
the
anything.
only reason I watched
literally.
because the best player on the planet was playing week in and week out, and these games are going on, and it was electric television. There's no way around that. So the Leagues Cup added ridiculous fixture congestion with everyone, and then it gave teams like us a not very welcome break from play from the whole time that the tournament was going on. So
Good point.
that's laughable that it's a fixture congestion thing. Another thing that I read too is that they used the argument that some of these facilities weren't up to the standard of what an MLS club kind of requires for play. No shit.
Like, duh.
No shit. That's obvious. That's why you're doing it. Like it top to bottom, it was complete hypocrisy. Like hypocrisy. However you say words, dude. The fact that they were willing to even say that blew my mind. One of the first memories I have really of the U.S. Open Cup was when St. Louis FC was still together in St. Louis playing at, worldwide now. It was whatever it was
Gallagher.
back then.
Yeah.
Gallagher back then. And Seattle Sounders with Clint Dempsey came to and played on that turf. Like that
Same
was
place where state finals were played,
Same place where state finals are played. That was so cool to me. And Clint didn't play, obviously. And every one of these teams has their right and up to their decision making to, if they want to just play the kids, then you play the kids. Like, let these teams, Hercules, what's his name? Gomez.
Yeah. Hercules.
Hercules.
Gomez. Yeah, Hercules Gomez said it on Twitter, and he was like, let the clubs make the decisions on how seriously they want to take this. Because you're right, it's not profitable. No one's saying it was. It's governed and run by the United States soccer organization and not MLS, which is why MLS has an issue with it, which is
U.S. soccer is not for profit as well.
U.S. soccer's not for profits. So no, you're not going to get a ton of payout in this. And I understand also as a business major, sports business major, I understand where that's not, acceptable from our point of view, but to use that as like lore and to use that as a club, even St. Louis is like, look how much history we already have before we have a team.
Well,
Yeah,
and
and then to just back out of that.
yeah, and if
And
you're
but
wanting to grow the league or the cup, like pulling the MLS teams out of it is not going to do that for us to
And
get
growing
those.
and growing USL grows MLS. I
Yeah.
promise it does. I promise. What were you
and
saying?
and it's so much harder for these USL or whoever teams to even get exposure, the kind of level of exposure that they would get without this tournament. Like this is such a great chance, beyond these MLS teams raising awareness about their academies and those really starting to grow in their respective cities. Like one of the best ways that we can grow the game is for the top tier, like you guys said, it's for Clint Dempsey to go
Yeah.
to a Gallagher soccer park or Worldwide Technology soccer park and play these lower level teams. It's
Yeah.
exactly why, it's exactly why a lot of us, or for me at least, it's why I know a lot of these really low level English teams outside of playing FIFA
Yeah.
is, I wouldn't know that they existed unless Arsenal is playing them, on a whatever day of the week.
Yeah. Spurs are
It's
playing Cheltenham on a
exactly.
Wednesday. Sure, I'm gonna watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
And yeah, and like you said, it's a great chance for us to play guys that, are fringe players. And, on that note, we get to watch a team that we've never watched before, good, bad, or otherwise, but we also
Yep.
get to see potentially some guys that are going to be eventually playing in the first team, or playing in, first teams elsewhere. But there's such a big marketing piece to it that it's almost like, no, you're not necessarily making money, or maybe you're losing a little bit of money from it, but like it's worth it for so many reasons, which is why I think that they'll eventually come back to it.
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
think there's
They
so
they
much
have to.
outrage.
They're gonna realize the mistake that they made, and I wouldn't be surprised if next year they're like,
Think of like those players on Union Omaha that got to come play in St.
Yeah.
Louis
Oh, of
Dude.
in a
course.
state of the art 25,000 seat stadium that probably just made their careers. Some of those guys, maybe like Winks, like you're saying, like maybe they did get scouted, maybe they got signed for showing up against an MLS team and performing the way they did. But that opportunity is no longer there because all the competition is going to be on the same level, which yes can be a good thing, but at the same time, those diamond in the roughs won't be discovered as much because that opportunity won't be there.
Yeah, we're not going to be out there like celebrating like we would if like our St. Louis next pro team wins.
Yeah,
It's like
it'll
it's
be
just
it'll be
like
cool, but
yeah, for what? Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen like the general outrage, at least on Twitter. I'm constantly on Twitter and I kind of hate it, but the general
I need
outrage
it.
from everyone has been the exact same. Like every team across the board. It's every MLS public tweet they make. It's like responses are like, you guys are idiots. Like,
Yeah.
everything that St. Louis City's tweeted. All the people that we follow on Twitter are
yeah,
like,
all the
hey, you
supporter
guys need to
groups have
say
tweeted
something.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm personally with the supporter groups. I have no interest in going back to a Leagues Cup game. We got embarrassed by Club America at home. It was a home game for them, literally on the sheet. So they pumped them up. I'm not in on that, and I think they've got a good thing that they're trying to do, and take the actual Luligans to the City 2 U.S. Open Cup games to make a statement. I think that's awesome. And I think we're going to probably see that across the MLS because people are pissed
Yeah.
around it.
It's
But
bullshit.
that's our thoughts on that. We can all step off our soapbox just a little bit here as we roll into the Premier League weekend recap. Oh God, I gotta go first too. It was an interesting weekend. We had some big matchups. Spurs played Nottingham Forest on Friday. I set a meeting for 2 hours and I didn't do a damn thing during that. So I got I have full thoughts for sure.
Those are the best. Those fake meetings.
Oh yeah, I like a Friday game when you win because if you don't win, your entire weekend sucks. So rolling into this was okay. I felt relieved at least, but it was nothing but it was a tight game. There's no way around it. Playing at the City Ground anytime I think is tough. I think that place has an awesome atmosphere. I, as a fan, would love to go see middle of nowhere England City Ground and have that go up on a Friday night. So it was that they brought it. Let me shift over to my analysis here. Spurs didn't play great, to be fair, not from what I thought. Nottingham Forest was kind of on the front foot, had a really strong press, and they looked a little nervous. End of the day, I think Kulusevski's a baller. He literally single-handedly put the team on his back, had an amazing cross to Richie, who I would also like to mention is in great form. We may have got Everton Richie back. It turns out he plays through the middle, lads. It turns out he was a 9 the whole time. Oh, who would have known? Crazy.
Certainly not Hoover saying that
I
for
would
a
have
whole
never
year on the
known.
podcast. Yeah.
Oh God, let's slate the guy who's literally playing out of position. It was great to see him score again. He's got, I think, 4 and 3, which is that's ridiculous. That's more. I saw a thread on Twitter. And it was a list of players he has more goals than this year, and it was laughable. I won't name names
I was
like
gonna say,
Marcus Rashford.
yeah, I was
but
just gonna say, are you doing
it was,
the
you know,
stats?
it's,
Are you saying
I want,
United's
it
front
was,
three? You gonna do
it
it?
definitely,
Like, no,
it
no,
definitely
no.
wasn't like
For
Martinelli,
sure, say it.
like some of these guys that we love and whatever. But
You could just name our front three.
Can you
Yeah,
say
just
that
say
again,
it.
Hoov?
Just say it. Just
No.
a little bit of
and that's
yeah.
it.
Scott McTominay
Anything
is
again.
carrying the
I want
charge.
to I want to clip that. Hoov just said he loves Martinelli.
I didn't say. Wow. When
Said
that
guys like Martinelli that we love.
Oh. I see. Okay.
That came
Twisting
out.
it.
He said
That
technically
came
I said
out.
that. Didn't mean it. Fuck that guy.
Didn't mean it. The thing that really pissed me off was as soon as his red card. I don't know if you guys saw the tackle. It was a nailed on red. He was late. He was being an idiot. And it's his second red card this year, which means a 4-game suspension, which means he's off for Christmas. Kind of smart. And then not only after that 4-game suspension, he goes straight to AFCON. So
Oh God.
we could actually maybe not see Yves Bissouma until like middle of February. So
He's got a crazy tackle in him.
I told you guys last week I shouldn't have spoken into existence because that's exactly what I said. It was worse than Romero's. Like the guy was being an idiot. There was no sort of like defense of it at all. So that sucks a lot in a position that we're already thin. To have to just literally keep like 1 step forward, 2 step backs is what it feels like with player availability. So Mickey Van de Ven's on the come up. To be fair, Ben Davies has not sucked. Ben Davies has not sucked. He's actually been really good.
But I texted you that on Friday. I was like, fellas, I have to say this to get this off my chest. Davies is good.
Yeah.
Davies was good.
Like it's nice to see him be praised on Twitter because 60% to 70% of my Spurs career that he's been there has not been catching, good comments online. So happy to see a guy who's given so much. At the very least, he's been there 7 years. At the very least, to shine and do well in a position and system that probably doesn't suit him super well. But no, it's good to see that. Yeah, 3 points is 3 points is 3 points. It felt Conte-ish, and I hated it, and I hated the entire watch. Whole thing sucked. If it wasn't for Matt Turner, I would have been pooping my pants by the end of that up 1-0. So Matt Turner howler made me happy. So we move.
Yeah, you do move, and at the end of the season, you're not going to look back and be like that game sucked. But like, 3 points is 3 points. That's massive. I mean, even through like, and just had his ups and downs, and you all have had injuries just like everyone else has. Like, I mean, it's really important those 3 points for you all in like the European race for positions. Like the top 4. I mean, as we move into like next games or whatever, like City drop points again. That keeps the top 4 race alive for so many teams. And like Tottenham has to win games like that, like has to get results even when it sucks, even when it doesn't look good. So I think you'll look back like at the end of the season and you won't care if it was
for sure.
football again. It's just like, it's so important you get those 3 points.
I think we say this too much for sure, but this is like it's game to game now. Like, and it couldn't be more game to game. We don't even know who's going to be available. We don't know who's going to be ready. It has to just be next team up mentality. And I don't think there's anyone better to do that than Ange. I'm obsessed with the guy. What's not to love? Apparently, the only people in the world that hate him are Arsenal fans because that's all I see on Twitter. But that sentiment is weird to me. But moving on, a team that caught 3 points. Not going to say anything too negative, but hoping to always get 3 points at home to the bottom of the table. So Mickey, you caught 3. I will give you Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer's got something in him.
Yeah. Yep. Well, when you're at the bottom half of the table too, Hoove, those games still are pretty nerve-wracking.
Good point.
So coming into this, I mean, I definitely was not in great spirits. In the first half, once again, didn't show me any positive movement towards getting any better. I will say, I think I don't know who mentioned it on the podcast, but Enzo wasn't on the starting lineup this week. I thought that was a pretty good shout because I thought Conor Gallagher played really well in the midfield with Caicedo and Palmer. And I know who mentioned it. I thought Cole Palmer is really our only moving forward in our like offensive final third. Like Cole Palmer is the only one with a creative brain, like at all. Like I feel like everyone else is just simple passing until it gets to Cole, and then Cole kind of does something creative and breaks a line. But Nico Jackson with the tap in, I still don't rate him, and am really excited for Nkuku to come back. I was shocked that he didn't get any time in this game. He was on our bench, and Potch even said he might get some minutes. So I was kind of shocked that we didn't see him at all. But I'm hoping that means he can maybe start in our next game over Nico Jackson because I literally think he should just immediately get put into our starting lineup.
Although he should, I feel like they don't typically do that with guys coming back
Yeah,
from injury.
that's very
though.
true.
So there,
And I
you
don't
you
think-
kind of gotta tough it out and just wait
Bring
for
him in
him.
the 70th, yeah, and let him.
Bring
Yeah,
him in
we'll
against
see.
Newcastle midweek. See how he does.
Yeah. And also Broya, he's been coming back from injury, and I've been trying to like see a little bit of spark in him, but I thought when he came on for Nico, I mean he only was on for like I don't even know how long, but he missed like 3 sitters that I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And like,
The only highlights I saw of this game was Broha's miss. Like I didn't see any of the goals. I only saw his miss on Twitter.
the header that just we buy him for back post headers. He gets one on a silver platter and he puts it 10 feet.
It's so fun to watch it at Southampton, dude. Like
Uh-huh.
it's gotta be a run of games thing. Like
Could be.
I
Definitely
saw
could
it when he was playing with them. Like I was like, damn, this guy has he's got qualities of a striker.
Yeah, and to be fair, like I said, he only had 10 minutes in this game. He didn't get his yet, so I'm hoping maybe if he gets a full 90, it would be different. But when he came on, I was being like, okay, hopefully we can score some goals now, but by no means did that happen. The other shot I wanted to give was Badiashile. I think he's class. I really like him. As a center back, especially with the ball at his feet. He's a lefty, and I think he's really nice with possession as well.
You had a good FIFA card last year.
What did you say?
You had a good FIFA card last year.
I also hope he's kind of. I know we've been talking about it over the past couple weeks, but Thiago Silva, obviously he's on his way out. I think he's even saying it himself of recent in his pressers. He's like, I don't know how much more I got in me. And I'm hoping that Badiashile can kind of come in and be a good replacement for him because I think he played outstanding in this last game.
Dude, my thing about like the Chelsea defense is like individually each of those kids was rated somewhere previously. Like
Oh yeah.
realistically, you guys shopped around and bought some ridiculous young talent. So it can't always be bad. Like every once in a while, you see that these kids they've got what it takes here and there. It's just the way that everyone's been thrown in is just so unnatural that
Yep.
we've got Mickey. We worked Mickey in with an established back line. Mickey and Destiny were new, but like we had to switch out keepers. There's more continuity there at least. Like you guys are like swapping out.
I said it last week. This is yet again another week where we have not put out the same lineup. Like we have yet to put out the same lineup back-to-back weeks, and we're only in one competition. Like
Looking like St. Louis City.
Did you like this one?
Masterclass, baby.
It's a similar reaction to you, Hoove. Like I was not like thrilled with our performance, but 3 points is 3 points because like we rarity even for Spurs. We catch 3 points for us finally, but I'm just it's a roller coaster right now. I'm hoping we see more consistency as we move forward.
I was gonna ask you if like you liked this lineup, but even in my head, like you don't have Nkunku in there.
Nope.
You obviously figured that no matter what, he's probably gonna be in that starting
We have
11.
2 center backs at wing backs.
Yeah, like
Jackson is out. I don't like Sterling.
yeah.
Yeah, and it switches every week. I'm telling you, like
Yeah,
I see
roller
a new
coaster.
line.
But at the same time, like you look at that lineup and really like you put Palmer out on the wing, you bring in Kunku into the 10 and he plays with Jackson. Like they were balling during the preseason, but like other than that, maybe you bring Fernandez in for Gallagher, but like that's like that's
He was
Our entire back four changes when we get healthy.
yeah, but I mean like Reece James is never going to be healthy. So
Yeah.
like Chilwell for sure.
Gusto. I'm talking Gusto even. He's not
Yeah.
healthy. Like
That's fair.
we haven't had a solid back four in a very long time.
You have an expensive ass back four. I'll tell you that much. It's
Back
crazy.
8.
For real, dude.
And isn't Petrovic from like New York Red Bull or New
New
England?
England Revolution, baby.
Revolution.
Shut out, baby.
Yeah, no, is he American?
Dude, I'll look it up. What
I
is
don't
he?
think so.
Serbian.
Oh, wait,
I
Serbian.
remember
We should have known that.
Yeah.
before Chelsea bought him, I actually watched him in an MLS game making some of the most ridiculous saves I've ever seen in my entire life. And like I had never seen this kid before, and I was like, this kid is so legit. And sure enough, Chelsea swooped him up. But like they also have that whatever the kid Gaga, remember?
Yeah,
Like
he's on loan in
Sonia?
Belgium, isn't he?
Yeah. They still have him too.
Yep. But
Yeah.
I texted in like the Chelsea group message that I have, and I literally said, if they kept track of useless possession, we would be undefeated. Like if that's how you decided wins or losses was useless possession, Chelsea would be undefeated in the league.
What, just
like
like
That's what
passing
we
the
do.
ball around for no reason?
Literally no reason in the middle of the field through our back four, probably 5 times back and forth. It's just
Cycle it around, fellas.
Literally.
Cycle it around.
It gets all the way to Raheem.
Switch.
He
Switch.
tries to take someone on, comes back. It goes all the way back over to Mudryk. Mudryk does the same. Then it just useless possession until it gets to Cole Palmer, and Cole Palmer tries to do something.
Bro, I lied. I saw 2 highlights. I saw Broha, and then I saw Mudryk's hit into there was a throw in.
God.
I saw those are the
Wasn't
2
a
I saw.
throw in. Wasn't a throw
It
in.
was damn close.
to a throw-in.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't a cross.
We don't rely on FOTMob the hardest, but just looking at this lineup in the box scores here, he did not look like he had a great one. So compared to the rest of the group,
I'm telling you, I'm more hyped. I shouldn't say hyped. I'm more positive about Mudryk than Jackson and Sterling, 100%.
See, I think I don't know, man. Like
I think I could give you Jackson.
Yeah, Sterling. Like I feel like that's just a vendetta thing. Like Sterling has been carrying Chelsea this season. Like
Until he doesn't. Like
he's bad.
Sterling's
He's really
yeah.
consistent person. Like yes, he's had moments of brilliance, but he's also completely fucked us as well.
Sterling also isn't a $100 million player that's got
True. Very true.
butterflies tattooed on the side.
Wait. I do have a
He's also
question.
not 20.
Did he get the Jesus's love tattoo covered up by the butterfly? I was looking for it this weekend. I didn't see it.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's on the other side.
Is it? Or
I'm
is
pretty
it
sure.
Is it just really small? I don't know. The butterfly feels like a lot.
Or you can't be putting shots out for almost throw-ins with that tattooed on your neck.
It happened to James Madison. It happens to the best of them. But congrats on the 3 points, Nick. Well earned. We'll glance on City Crystal Palace. I don't know if anyone watched it, but
Didn't know.
City did drop points
Again.
at the death to Crystal Palace. It was a penalty. Who won it? It was a penalty in the end, like 96th minute. Michael Olise tucked it. There's some dogs on that Palace side, but this is a City thing. Like, are we seeing a downfall? Are we seeing they haven't had Kevin De Bruyne the whole season?
I don't want to scare everybody, but he just started training. So,
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, so there's that.
All right, they're gonna be fine.
And we'll leave it at that.
I did think it was weird Rico Lewis playing in the middle a little bit. And I do think he's solid, but I just think that like, I don't know, there wasn't a lot of fluidity there for me.
My favorite part of the whole game was that clip that I saw on Twitter that one of you guys sent to us of Roy Hodgson
Dude.
laughing at Pep screaming once Palace tied it or drew the
They
penalty, whatever it was.
they
That was
put it
unbelievable.
away, and he literally, I mean, it couldn't have been more. He directly looked at Pep and was like cackling. Like he was like
He knew
losing
that
his
he knew that it shouldn't have been close, right? And
Oh,
he's
good
just like,
joke.
hey, what are you gonna do?
Oh, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So props on them. Apparently everyone's tying City these days. Newcastle, Fulham, 3-0. Fulham, the red card. Did we see the red card from Raul Jimenez?
Yeah.
I only mentioned that game so I could mention that. That was hysterical. That was also really funny.
And
It was like
also,
funny because he like took his foot down, but then also just full on like clattered him, dude.
He was his hip hit the guy's face. He was
It was
so
like, dude,
high
great,
up.
great, great job. You brought your foot down. Now I'm just gonna murder him with the rest of my body.
yeah.
Arsenal
this-
bounced back. What?
Is this the weekend with the most red cards in
There were a ton of
history?
red cards, dude. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there was 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
That's not normal.
That's a lot of red cards. Arsenal beat Brighton 2-0. Bounce back from Villa. I did not get to see this game, so I don't have a ton of personal thoughts, but I know my man Winks did.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 3 points is 3 points, no matter how you get there. No, but we properly dominated on our captain's 25th birthday, nonetheless. Moved back into first. Thank you, United boys, and thanks to Butchie and the pool for forgetting how to play. I thought we did. I thought we pressed really well, played really well altogether, but thought we pressed really well. Gabby Jesus took advantage of a defensive mistake just into the second half to put us up 1-0. First half was kind of boring, but to note, we didn't give up a shot from Brighton in the first half total. And we know that like they create a lot of chances. They've scored 1 goal in their last 33 Premier League games, and this was the first time they'd been shut out in the last 34. So I thought that defensively and I rather collectively we played really well as a unit. I did think Brighton were going to give us a tougher game because they'd beaten us the last 3 times at home. But again, like holding them to like 6 total shots and 0 in the first half, I think says a lot. Kai Havertz is the man right now. Received his club player of the month trophy before the game and then goes out and bags the second. It's really cool to see him coming into form. And what was really cool for me to see is like we've seen it not so much in England, but in other countries, when new signings don't play as well, the fans have like really gotten on their ass and are yelling at them during the games and things like that. But it's been really cool to kind of see the Arsenal fan base stay with him and support him throughout, his rough start with us. And so to see him score 4 goals in the last 7 games, for us is awesome. And so I hope that, he
Gross.
continues to kind of find that and hone in on that because I still think that there are opportunities for him at the back post with the kind of runs that he makes to score even more than he has been. I think that, 4 in the last 7 is great for where he was, but I think that there's still an opportunity for him to, like double that with the amount of chances that we give him back post. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go on quite a little run here and scoring a lot at the back post. But again, really, really happy for him to kind of. I hope that he's kind of past the thought in the back of his head of the price tag that he cost us when he first came here to really produce. And I feel like he's just really kind of having fun with it now, which is like a big deal for any players that come with a decent price tag.
He had the yips, man.
He did.
Sure did.
No way around that. I want to make a point about Brighton, and I was just looking at their last couple of lineups. They strike me as the team to actually, negatively have effect on Europa League games and like all these matches that they've had in a row. Like they've played a bunch of the same guys in back-to-back-to-back games, midweek and out of week. and I didn't watch, so I couldn't tell you if they were leggy or anything like that. But that's definitely they're known for their work rate, and they're known for how fast they're able to move around the pitch. And you got to wonder a little bit. There's taking a toll there on injuries and playing twice a week. That'll suck the life out of an upper mid-table team. I've seen it literally.
Yeah, it definitely does, and like we experienced that last year
Yeah.
in Europa League, right? Like Saka started, an insane amount of games in a row between Europa League and Premier League, and we saw it as later in the season these games start taking a toll on players. But I don't know if that was necessarily the case. I watched a couple times De Zerbi's post-match presser, and he was saying things that I hadn't really ever heard him say before. He specifically said that like we really made them suffer, and that they're not used to suffering in the way that we made them suffer, and they're not used to having so little control over the game as they did on Sunday. He said that he was still really proud of the way that they like conducted themselves despite that suffering. But like I said earlier, they hadn't been shut out in over 30 Premier League games, let alone probably had as little amount of chances on goal as they did. So I think it very well could be, but at least from their manager's presser, it didn't seem like that was the case. I think that we were just on it all the way around the pitch, which definitely, like you guys said, was a great way to bounce back from last week's loss to Villa. So
I texted Griff, and this is one key difference in the Arsenal team that they didn't have last year. I just pulled up the time that I texted him. I texted him at 8:19, 19 minutes in the game, and I just said, "Man, I'm so jealous of Declan because this dude, he does all of the little things right. He covers every single blade of grass. I know like he was a doubt at the weekend too. Like I was reading all over Twitter, like he wasn't for sure going to play, and then he hops in and he's everywhere. Like he's an Iron Man. The dude's made of steel. If he stays healthy, I think he's sort of the key to making that. You can plug in a few different people next to him, and he can make them successful because he seems like he's everywhere. Like what's crazy is I was looking it up. Like Brighton had more possession during that game as 51-49, which isn't crazy, but the entire game looked like Arsenal was in control of it. Like it never in a single moment of that game did it look like Brighton was going to like be a threat. And so much of that is just how Declan breaks up the plays. And the moment that he breaks up the plays, he can slow the game down and make it tick, get a ball from Saliba, play it back to Saliba. Just the way that he plays is insane. Griff actually responded, was like, imagine if he went to City. Like, just imagine him and Rodri playing
yeah,
together. So I had to mention Declan because I did watch that game, and he's an Iron Man, dude. He's fantastic.
I completely agree. I was literally going to say the exact same words. But I was going to piggybacking off of that, like the front three combo that you guys had with Havertz, Rice, and Odegaard. And I think a huge part of that is what Dobes just mentioned about Declan Rice. But I thought them three really controlled the game well, and I thought they offset and balanced each other really nicely.
I agree. And I was texting one of my buddies. It's not a rumor, but I was stirring the pot. But you guys saw the whole deal with Kimmich having a fallout with Tuchel, and so he'll probably be gone sometime in the near future. I'd shit my pants if we had a midfield of Joshua Kimmich, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard. I would shit my pants.
Declan's technically like an 8, so you can play Kimmich as a 6.
What I'm saying, dude. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
you could let him be that false wing back too. Just play him all the fucking
Yeah, dude.
Sort of like-
Yeah, on either side, Ben White runs up the wing, or
Bro, you could put
can
Kimmich
think of,
anywhere in the
you
11
could,
and he'd figure it
I
out.
was gonna say, man starts immediately.
Yeah, so I'm gonna officially start that rumor. Kimmich
Perfect.
Arsenal.
You heard it
I
here
want to.
You mentioned
I'm at the
you
front of
mentioned
that
Ben
shit.
White, and you know that meme with all the guys, like the military guys entering the building, and then there's the
Yeah.
clown with the players you listed. Ben White.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. I think that United has Anfield shook right now, so happy to go there at the weekend following that performance too.
You're welcome.
Everybody that needs to be healthy for the most part is healthy right now, which is very pleasant to say, and didn't get to say that a whole lot last year or at the beginning of the year. So I think it's going to be a really, really good match, and hopefully the game of the weekend.
And what a great segue over to, some would say the game of the weekend, some would say
A boring one.
maybe the worst watch I've ever seen.
Game of the season.
But we did have a 0-0 finish at Anfield between Manchester United and Liverpool. I bet on 3.5 goals over. So I was so unbelievably disappointed watching
I'm
this
there
game.
with you. That was a
My
the
my
most
girlfriend,
dominant Liverpool
dude,
performance.
my
snoozer.
girlfriend was like, "Why are you so angry at this game? Like, what does this game mean to you?" I was like, "Well, I needed them to score 4 goals." So
Results
was-
mean nothing.
that
Goals
was
mean everything.
my point of view. I do have some thoughts as a general fan though, but the United boys have a lot of thoughts. I will let you guys just, start that spin zone up, baby.
And you want to go first? You want to go first?
I'll start. I mean, you knew what we were trying to do. We were
Start of the week, it was obvious.
brother. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what. I went into this game expecting to get torn. Like I
Shit pumped.
dude, especially with the injury list and the unavailable list, just the Bruno suspension, and then we have injuries, we have all this stuff. I thought we were gonna get absolutely pumped. When I saw the lineups come out and I saw the midfield three of Mainu, Amrabat, and McTominay, I was like, we're not going to do anything going forward, but I'm excited to see what those three do defensively. I thought it looked good from there. Kobe Mainu, man, he's just, I know we say it every single time we watch the kid play, but what a gem he is. He's coming in, starting against Liverpool at Anfield. His ability to slow the game down, break up play, find the incisive pass that he needs to. I mean, it couldn't be more impressed with the kid, but what a performance from Varane and Evans. I mean, pocketed Nunez through the game. Onana came up big a couple of times, but we were never going to go and put together this like beautiful performance and score a bunch of goals. There was that one passage of play that Højlund shot right at Allison, that if he had scored that would have been one of the goals of the season, just from a team build-up play. It was gorgeous. But I mean, honestly, like, I know it wasn't the sexiest game, and I know that, obviously we want 3 points from every game we play. That was a huge performance from Manchester United. I also appreciate that, like, Scott McTominay, I mean, Dopes was sending the best messages I've seen of just like, Scott McTominay not being able to pass the ball 10 yards, which is so true. Man, I appreciate that, like, in the post game, he came out and was just basically like, I see what everyone says about me on Twitter. I get it, but like, I don't care what you're going to say. I'm going to go out there and play my heart out, and did it that game. Not saying that I want him in the starting 11, but like, it was cool to hear that he's aware of the criticism. I think sometimes people are like, yeah, the no, I don't read anything. And Scott's like, no, I see it. I don't give a fuck. So yeah,
He's definitely got a couple burners.
Yeah, for sure. I'm stoked with the result, and maybe Dobes agrees, maybe he doesn't, but we'll talk about the red card in a little bit. But yeah, I was stoked with the performance, stoked with the result.
There's a lot that I have to agree with what Henry says. I think coming into this game, more so than any game, yes, it is Liverpool United, but there's so many storylines. You have like the media wanting Ten Hag out, like Liverpool wins, they go back to top of the table, like United's injury list. Like everybody in the world had their 7-Up cans out before this game started, seeing our injury list, seeing everybody that was out, seeing what typically happens at Anfield. This is the first time that Liverpool have failed to score at Anfield since January. It's the first time that they've failed to win at Anfield since May. And I think Ten Hag deserves all the credit in the world in this game, mainly because he sort of swallowed his pride and said, if we try to go toe-to-toe with Liverpool, it's going to end up 7-0. Liverpool's strengths are they're a counting pressing team. They like to counter on the attack. They like to move quickly. They like to play through the middle. And what we did was, for the first time this season, we saw a back four that was extremely solid. Like Henry said, Varane and Evans were great. But we played with a double pivot. We played with that Amrabat and Mainu. And what that did is, historically, like all of Ten Hag's teams, he tries to do a little bit of the pep to where he tries to play with like an inverted midfield, and we'll see Delo try to slide in the middle sometimes, and we'll see Shaw try to slide in the middle to overload that middle. Instead, what he did is he said, Liverpool's weakness is trying to break down teams and playing through wide areas. And so with the double pivot, it allowed us to truly sit in that like 4-4-2 and become extremely, extremely difficult to play against. The players that had great games didn't have great games in like the way that you'd expect them to. And what I mean by that is like Højlund was on an island. But what he did so well is typically we set our press almost like 3/4 up the field is where our press starts. Against Liverpool, Højlund did a job of his press started at half field most of the time. And what we did is we did such a great job of clogging up the space. Same thing with McTominay. McTominay was dog shit in possession. I mean, like he completed 17 passes the entire game, and I think his pass percentage was like 65%.
That's our number 10, baby.
And you know what I mean? You need a number 10 that can be a conductor. But what McTominay did do well is he figured out a way to clog that space up. We know he's not great on the ball. We know he's terrible in that aspect of it, especially when he has to be creative. But him doing that role defensively was so important. And you look at Anthony. Anthony was terrible. I texted in the group. He made all of the wrong decisions. I'll give you guys one guess of who completed the most tackles on the entire field. It was Anthony. Same thing with Garnacho. Garnacho at the same time, he's a young teenager who's playing at Anfield, who has to do this role of predominantly defending the entire time, and he was great at it. So there's all these little different things that sort of happen all over the field. And yes, as United, do we want to be able to go to Anfield, go toe-to-toe with them, beat them at their own house? Yes, of course we do. But the reality of the situation is we don't have the players, nor have we been playing well enough to do that. And so the positive that I'm taking, yes, it's a big point. But at the same time, the positive I'm taking from that game is the fact that you saw 11 guys that are no ways that are followed in the dressing room with that manager. They bought into that game plan, every single block, every single tackle. You saw the chest bumps, you saw the high fives, you saw everything because they wanted a result. And that to me is the biggest takeaway from this game. But then you look at sort of like Henry said in Kobe Mano. Let me tell you guys this guy's professional football resume as of today. His debut at Everton after a 10-point ban, at Newcastle, at St. James's Park, at Anfield. The other two times that he's played, he came on at Bayern Munich and he came on at Galatasaray. In that 5-game span, he's been the best player, most consistent player, bar none. Mm-hmm. So I can't say enough about this kid, how excited I am for that kid. He's going to save us $80 million one day. But in terms of the performance, it's not what you want to see from a United team. It's not the counterattacking. But what you have to be proud of is the result and the way that we got it. Yes, it's not pretty, but the ability for us to hunker in, sit in 2 blocks of 4, and I'll argue with anybody that we had the best chance of that game. Højlund needs to score. I don't fucking care how old you are. I don't care if you're 20 years old. I don't care if you're 40 years old. You're the number 9 at Man United. You have to fucking score. So, yeah, I mean, happy with the result with sort of the setup, but more than that, I'm happy that Ten Hag's going to make it to Christmas. He's got a little bit of pressure off his back. And maybe, I've said it so many times this season, maybe that, like, unity, we can actually build on it because we've had decent results, but we've never built on it. So hopefully we can actually build on this moving forward. But it's tough to say. I'm definitely happy with the draw. I think anybody going into Anfield is happy with 0-0. So I'm taking it every day of the week.
The thing that, like, first off, Liverpool had a shit ton of chances. They had a lot of chances that they should have scored.
I was only worried about Trent's. That was the only serious chance I was worried about.
The one that made no sense to me was when, like, Darwin just stopped running. You know the one that I'm talking about where, like, the ball kind of squeaked out to the left side of the goal and it kind of looked like it might have started rolling out, and he stopped running and turned around yelling at someone and then tried to run to the ball again. Like, if he just continued his run, he would have had a wide open goal for a tap, and he just didn't. I didn't understand that at all.
Darwin. But
seriously.
The point I wanted to make is that, like, they were like bitching about you guys sitting in a low block. The only reason that that's brought up is because it's Manchester United, and no shit, like, given the circumstances, that was going to be the decision. You can make fun of Man United for sitting in a low block against Liverpool and Anfield. There's a case for that, but, like, if this was any other team, there would be no comments of, like, there was only one team that wanted to win here today. Like, I've watched 40% of the games you watch in the Premier League as a top 6 club. is teams coming and blocking you off, like break them down, catching a counterattack, scoring a goal. I've lost to a billion of them. So I thought it was awfully arrogant for some of those guys to come out and say some of that. Like, I don't think it's a respect thing. It's just like take a step back and acknowledge that you do what you can to get results in this league because it's an extremely difficult league.
Right.
Like, I thought that was a wild
dude,
take from.
fucking score.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beat
Like,
us.
just fucking score. Like there's, of course it's United and it's everybody's saying it's a terrible performance. And like if you look at the grand scheme of things in terms of patterns of play, in terms of the way we kept the ball, in terms of all this different stuff, like Amrabat wasn't his usual self. A lot of people in possession went their usual selves, but like to be honest, I enjoyed watching that game. I know that like as a neutral, it's fucking terrible because it's Liverpool just kind of passing the ball around. But as a United fan, like seeing the cohesion and us work together like that was like we haven't seen that. Whether in possession, out of possession, nothing. We haven't seen that all year. Like the Varane chest bumping Delo after a shot block. We haven't seen any of that shit. Like for weeks now. And especially in the time where it's like before Christmas, everybody's saying Ten Hag's not going to make it to next week. Everybody's calling for his job. Everybody's saying the dressing room's gone. Everybody's saying that Varane fall out with Ten Hag. All the stuff that's going outside of the field, to me, is what makes this game mean more so than just like, yes, it's 0-0. Yes, it's a big point in the grand scheme of things. Before we end, we have to talk about the Delo red card.
Have to.
We have to talk about the
So-
Delo red card.
Delo, for background, chased down Salah. I mean, there were 3 minutes left of stoppage time. Chased down Salah, is from my point of view, putting in like every ounce of effort that he had left to give, and tries to flick a ball off Mo Salah, which he did, and then they called the other way. So Delo, rightly upset, throws an arm, gets pissed, yells at the guy. Normal reaction. Reactions we see get yellow cards all the time. He swings his arm a second time, and then Michael Oliver hands out 2 yellow cards back to back. Boom, boom, red card off the field.
Most ridiculous thing.
I have
I was-
never seen that.
I was screaming at my TV. I was screaming.
We talk about
This
it
is-
often. It's when a ref wants to like involve himself in a game. That's
Bro,
what.
this is Liverpool Man United. This is arguably the biggest fixture in English football. There's minutes left in a game, a 0-0 game. Delo has given everything that he's had into keeping them from scoring.
Probably
He-
so
he-
intense.
He shows human emotion, just as Michael Oliver's allowed to. He shows human emotion. Sure, give him a card. You know what a good referee does after the first one? I saw Tim Howard say this today. You give him a yellow and you say, come here. Come
Yeah,
here. I get it.
talk to him.
Come here. I get it. I get it. You got to chill, or I'm going to give you a second one. But
But the thing
instead, he gives back to back. We saw Nunez in the first half.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Truck somebody, then kick the ball away, then get face to face with Michael Oliver, and he got 1 yellow.
And clapped him
And
off.
clapped at him. It's just like, and now Delo's suspended, but it's like fucking Michael Oliver. The fact that they started the game being like the Premier League's finest, Michael
The
Oliver,
Premier League's finest. Who decided that, and when did that happen?
right off.
I'm almost positive. I'm looking it up right now, but you guys know who the 4th referee was, right? It was Anthony fucking Taylor.
He didn't do shit. Well, I guess he's on the sideline. Yeah.
If we would have conceded like right after that, I don't even know what I'd done. And the worst part is it was our throw-in. Like
Yeah,
he was right to be mad.
Well, I was like texting in the group and like I was watching it and I literally like made a comment of like what an effort by Delo there to come back and like get Salah off the ball and earn the corner. And then I was like, wait a minute, what just happened? Like it was like nothing I'd ever seen. 2 yellows for dissent in 10 seconds has never happened ever.
We're going to see more and more of it because they like Howard Webb and the PGO MOL are like cracking down on dissent and all of this different stuff, and they're trying to prove a point. Is what they're trying to do. They're trying to prove a point.
So fucking
So,
stupid though.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing in the fucking world.
If
Like
you're
the whole-
going to prove a point, then prove it over the course of 90 minutes. Don't just decide at the end to be like, I didn't like that one.
I will say, who you said it best, the no handball call in that game is what I wish we would consistently see throughout the rest of the Prem.
In
Yeah.
my thought right then and there was like, all right, we've had this discussion over and over and over and over all year. That one right there, I looked at it and was like, no pen. Like, there's no way That's a pen. It's not going towards goal, which is a deciding factor. It's not stopping a shot or changing the direction of what could be a game-changing play. It was cleared immediately out right after. All of these factors. It was down by his side. He couldn't have
Wasn't even
moved his
looking at
arm
the ball.
anywhere. He wasn't
I
looking
still,
at the ball.
I still thought they were going to give it. If you had to
So
be
did I.
honest, I thought they were going to give it.
I've seen way worse called.
100%. Oh,
For
1000%.
sure. I've
No
seen them call that
doubt.
so many times.
Yeah.
The fact that I was vindicated by being like, "There's no way." Like and I said it to Flan, and I didn't mean it to come off like douchey, but like they have been calling it since that PSG Newcastle game. Like I don't know if that directly correlates to how we've seen the change in the Premier League, but since then there's been a tiny bit more consistency with just like involuntary touches in the box from a defender, which is all we've wanted. There's a couple defenders in this chat. Like, that's all we really wanted. I always back the defender in those situations.
Yep.
If he can't move his arm and if it's not directly off of his body, it's changing the course of games. So I agree. I was more than happy to see that. Even as a guy who needed the over like air to breathe, I was like that's not a penalty. So yeah, couldn't agree more. Hopefully it stays consistent. Probably won't, but we'll talk about it again next week when inevitably somebody else has an issue. Shifting on, and we'll glance on it just a little bit. I think we're running out of some time here, but the Champions League group stages have wrapped up. Not to just throw this right back to the United boys, but we did not find ourselves finishing in European football. So quick thoughts, quick touch pieces. You guys gave up a lot of goals, something like the record of 15 goals in the group stage. So
Embarrassing, but the best thing for us at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, embarrassing way to fall out just because so many of the games like within the tournament, like we deserved to win. We were winning, and I think 3 or 4 of the games that we ended up losing. So like embarrassing in the way that it happened, but like I think for us right now, like it's probably best that we're not playing 3 times a week. Like we have to get back healthy. We have to get Leach back integrated. We got to get Casemiro back integrated. We still have Mount to come back. We still have Ericsson to come back. We still have Malacia to come back. Like the injury list goes on, and we can't afford to be losing more guys. Like we just simply can't, or we're going to stay where we are in the table. We need to get healthy to be able to get consistent in the Premier League and sort of try to go on a second half run, sort of like Liverpool did last year when they got healthy towards the second half and sort of made a chase for top 4. So yeah, I mean it's embarrassing the way we thought out, no doubt, but at the same time, like I think it's the best thing for us, as bad as that is.
I agree with you. I think your guys' odds of finishing in the top 4 were greater than you guys winning the Champions League.
It's just you just never know what like who's going to be healthy, and it's the issue of we got the injury bug, but in the second half of the season we could be healthy, we can start peaking again, you know. So it's I don't know.
Yeah. Same thoughts.
Bayern rounded out with FC Copenhagen catching themselves a knockout berth. Arsenal topped their group. Thoughts, Winks? Felt kind of comfortable. Not going to call it a cupcake group, but it wasn't, the toughest by any means.
No, definitely wasn't the group of death. But yeah, we were finishing top of our group regardless of the scoreline. So it didn't mean a whole lot to me. Obviously, still watched it, but was similar to the Open Cup, a good opportunity to get fringe players some time and on top of that, getting them their Champions League debut as well. I know I texted you guys, but I would have paid a lot of money to say that Cedric Soares was never going to start a Champions League game, and we saw him.
Genuinely forgot he was on your team.
Yeah, no, dude, me too. Me too, and honestly, started to forget about El Neni a little bit too, our Egyptian prince.
Oh my God, man! You guys,
who was atrocious, by the way. I think I texted you guys like 6 minutes in, and I was like, "Yeah, I've seen enough of El Neni, get him off." No, but what was interesting was that PSV had to get a result of some sort, tie or win to move on. So good for them. I like them. They're top of their table domestically right now. We knew they'd be playing their dogs. So with that being said, I thought that our B and C squad until we brought on some dogs later in the second half. Did well. I thought that Reece Nelson had a really good game as well. He was chopping it up on that right side and connecting with our midfielders and Nketiah really well. Nketiah had a phenomenal finish through the defender's legs that for some reason he loves to try all the time and succeeds a lot of time, but he caught Benitez, I think is their goalie's name, caught him off guard. But I do, outside of our team, I want to give a shout to PSV's right wing, that 20-year-old Bakayoko, I think is his name.
Yeah,
Guy's a dog.
there's a player there.
There's a player there, and wouldn't be surprised, assuming PSV, win the trophy domestically this year, that he goes somewhere. I have no idea what his contract looks like there. I probably should have researched that, but yeah, he is saucy, and being 20 years old, I definitely could see him going somewhere. But regardless, proud of the way that we collectively played our first Champions League group stage in quite some time, and I think drawing Porto in the first round is very good for us, considering a lot of the options of teams that we could have drawn. I don't think that the next round is going to be super interesting, like we talked about earlier. There might be one. I think Barcelona's matchup is probably going to be the most
Barca Napoli.
Yeah, Barca Napoli. I think that'll be a good one. But other than that, I'm sure we'll see some surprises across the board, whether that's results or players standing out. But on paper, if it goes the way it's supposed to go, yeah, that Barca Napoli game will probably be the only super entertaining one to watch. But yeah, proud of the boys.
Serginho Dest, reverse elastico.
Unreal.
It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
That was disgusting.
Dude, we got a lot of reasons.
But
to
also who he did it against, I'm like,
Yeah.
you want to like it was definitely sick and good for him. It was either on Suarez or
It was Kiwior.
Kiwior. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, Bakayoko had Kiwior on fucking skates the whole game anyways. So it was dope, not taking anything away from him, but
he's got it in him. He's got it in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
When he's not getting pissed off and throwing
literally.
balls and stuff.
I can't believe that happened. Unbelievable still. Yeah, but he's balling. He's their everyday right back now.
Yeah.
Malik Tillman is apparently they called him.
He scored this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. He fed Dest. Like that gets me bricked. Special shout out to them. Madrid and Napoli top their groups. Jude Bellingham's the GOAT, maybe.
Bro, unreal. The man is so good, dude.
He's so good.
I've been saying it. Henry won't join the train, but I've been saying it, man.
I just can't get on board. I don't know why. Choo-choo.
Madrid and Napoli. Brendan Aronson drops out with Union Berlin, but he also isn't even playing at Union Berlin that much. So I'm curious to see where his career heads. Sociedad and Inter. Sociedad topped the group over Inter, Atletico and Lazio, Dortmund and PSG in an electric finish.
Mm-hmm.
AC Milan.
That group,
Newcastle.
The group of death pretty much finished ass backwards from what we predicted before it started.
Yeah,
I want to see our predictions
because we didn't have Dortmund or PSG moving on.
Well, I do think it is crazy that they got lucky to finish second. And then, like, drawing Sociedad might have been the best case scenario for them, though, truthfully. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, that was an electric finish. AC Milan, we're all here for it. Newcastle out.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
What did Jacob Murphy say? That they belong there?
I will say something that we have to be aware of this year is because they have the points now based off of league finishes within the Champions League. Like, we kind of need Arsenal and City to make a run here. Because the farther they go, the more likely it is that the Premier League will get the fifth place will get a Champions League spot.
Great point. And City did finish their group on top with Leipzig below, Barca and Porto out. We'll skip the knockout stages because, to be fair, there's not a ton of not a ton of matchups that are super electric. But we will wrap up today.
Before that, just random thought. Sorry, Hoof.
No,
I
go
wish so bad that Leverkusen was in the Champions League this year.
Oh yeah.
ahead. Dude. So
I wish
yeah.
so bad. I feel like we don't talk about them enough because we don't talk about the Bundesliga enough, and then they're not, not being in the Champions League again. We don't get a chance to talk about them enough. But is
Leverkusen was
Xabi
6 of
Alonso the best
6.
manager in the world?
Unbeaten, still in the Bundesliga.
Unbeaten in the Bundesliga, 6 of 6 wins played in the Europa group. That's ridiculously impressive. Didn't they beat Bayern recently?
Their goal differential is
back him.
30.
We all back him and love him, dude. It's
Ours
so
is
fun to
negative
watch.
2.
There's some players on that team, dude, too. Like
Granit
not
Xhaka.
he's having a career right
Dude,
now.
yeah, he started
love
getting
him.
hot again right before we sent him over there, and he's just been on a tear. But yeah, no, they're
And I'm a Fiorian Words.
I was getting ready to say, bro, he's the truth.
I'm a
I
Fiorian
watched their
Words
highlights
achiever.
this weekend. Yeah.
He is disgusting.
And
He's like
Frimpong,
a young
they got a
Marco
bunch of
Reus.
no-name dogs.
Yeah,
Literally.
100%.
I hope that Xabi stays with Leverkusen
Me too.
for a while and like makes them one of the top teams in the world. But I know he's gonna get a
I
big
don't know,
move,
bro.
or
He's
Chelsea will fire
he's
Poch and
taking
he'll
over
go to
for
Chelsea.
Ancelotti.
Yeah,
He's
I can
smarter
see
than
that.
that. He's
Yeah.
taking over for
Straight to Real
Ancelotti.
Madrid. Yeah.
Yeah.
What an insane move. What if he just like won the Europa with them and then left? That'd be ridiculous.
What if he wins the title? It's been what
Yeah,
Dortmund was close.
yeah.
Dortmund was close last year. We need to see Bayern fucking.
Harry Kane,
Second.
titleless again.
Kane.
That would be hilarious, dude. It would be
Just the memes.
Hilarious. It would
Harry
be
Kane gonna Harry Kane.
He could
I
score
would-
60 goals. He could score 60 goals and it wouldn't matter. It'd be hilarious.
I would almost feel bad. I would almost feel bad.
You'd think about feeling bad.
I'd think about it. I hope he breaks every record Lewandowski's ever set and shatters him through the roof just to prove to everybody that he is actually the best striker in the world. But watching them finish trophyless would be pretty funny. To wrap it out, we'll talk about Girona one of these days. They're top of the table right now. They caught another 3 points today in La Liga.
I need Butch here for that.
Which is we need a Butch analysis or whatever he said that one week.
Yeah.
He's getting his hair cut though.
He's getting his hair cut. Yep.
Didn't talk about Liverpool United.
Yep.
To wrap it up, I've got a bench starter sell, which I don't think anyone else has decided to replace before this. So if you have, speak now.
You're in.
Maybe a little biased personally, but it does spark some conversation, and I think there's some merit to the players that we're picking here today. So bench starter sell, DJ and Kulusevski, Cole Palmer, Garnacho. Is it Alejandro Garnacho? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alejandro
Garnacho. So 3 kids under the age of 21. 2 of them are glorified teenagers. Chip in. See what you got.
Feeling we're all gonna have different answers.
I'm
Maybe
biased.
Bias.
You are biased. We're all biased. That's kind of why this is maybe a good one.
Honestly, genuinely, from like watching them this season, like Hulu's had his moments when the full team's healthy, but I'm starting Cole Palmer because of what he's doing
the
with
only bright spot.
with that team around him, and now that he's getting consistent playing time outside of Manchester City, I think he's a special player. And so I'm starting him only because I know how well Garnacho can do off the bench. So I'm gonna
He's got the
keep
golden
him on.
season, my friend.
I know. Well,
Oh yeah, shove that in here.
every teenager gets a
Fucking
nut or
trophy
whatever the
locker.
saying is.
Well,
Every squirrel gets a nut, but no, but I just think that I'm not saying he's necessarily stronger off the bench compared to like his current form, but like knowing that he has the capability to come off the bench and score a goal. I'm starting Cole Palmer, benching Nacho, and then Kulusevski can get their water after the game. Respectfully,
This is really tough.
it is.
I
Yeah.
I'm starting Cole. I think I bench Kulusevski and sell Garnacho because I think I make more money off Garnacho.
Okay, so I truly think the argument on the way that I can preface how I'm going to go about it, current form, current situation, there's no way that Garnacho's future price tag is not going to be higher than Kulusevski's.
I was
Maybe,
funny.
but I think
Decky balled
current
on
form,
Friday.
Decky balled on Friday, and he keeps
Decky
balling.
balled on Friday.
And it's like Garnacho's gotten these runs of games. A lot of times we break it down on like, well, has he gotten a run of games? How's his form? Like, he is more or less the starting left winger. And be it a United identity crisis or United problem, I don't see it consistently in and out every week. He's the youngest of all three of the guys we've mentioned, so that's always something that can play into a factor. But I see Kulusevski and Cole Palmer too. Both can play the 10, and they both play it really well. I find that as a very high value. I think we would be half the team, kind of like Nikki, without Kulusevski. I'm starting him. He's not as fast as some of these guys, but I think he's the best dribbler of all of them. I think he can find and create more space than the other three, albeit Cole Palmer's my next step. But I'm starting him. I am benching Cole. I am selling Alejandro.
I'm starting Decky. I'm gonna put Garnacho on the bench, and I'm selling Cole Palmer. The reason being is because I've watched Chelsea once in the last 4 weeks, and I watched him play against United. He played against United, and I don't remember him being on the field. I do think I want to start Garnacho.
fair.
Garnacho's the youngest, and I think Hoover's kind of right. I think of the three, I think he has the highest ceiling. I think he has the potential to be the best of the three players. But current form, what he lacks is the decision making. Like when he does get it right, he does score. But he's sort of like, I'd almost say it like 75% of the time he makes the wrong decision where he should shoot, when he should pass, where he should take somebody on. Um, and therefore, I'm going to start Decky. I watch Spurs almost every single game, and at a time when Spurs sort of has needed somebody to step up, he's been that guy. And I did watch the entire game on Friday, and he was everywhere. Like Spurs weren't great, but when they did happen, like he sort of created everything. Obviously, Sonny had 2 assists, but he created everything. I'm going to start Decky. I'm going to put Garnacho on the bench. And I'm selling Palmer, not because I think Palmer's bad, but because I've literally watched City Palmer. I've watched Chelsea Palmer like twice, and then yeah.
I think
Tough,
you made
man. You could make an argument for any order of this.
Yeah,
order.
like I genuinely haven't watched. I've watched Chelsea like twice, maybe the last couple of weeks. Like,
I think that's a good point about decision making because I think Cole has really good decision making, mostly because it's like that is their offensive output. Like he's like a couple of his goals have looked weird that went in, but like the decision to do that and to attempt it and it work, I thought is cool for a player
over
to
the
come in and
weekend
do that.
too. Like he's playing well.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with any lineup of this. If my rating was on who has the most sauce when they play or like has the most attractive style of play, it would be Garnacho, Palmer, then Kulusevski. I think that Decky looks so awkward the
He's
majority of
robotic
the
as
time.
hell.
Bro,
Yeah.
it's so ugly, but he gets the job done. So if I'm starting Kulusevski. He has been the most consistent out of the three of them for the longest amount of time. They're all super young, but he has been the most consistent. Um, I'm gonna go with Garnacho on the bench. I love watching him play. I feel like every time he touches the ball, something happens, and I think he's gonna continue to grow into that. And then Cole Palmer, I will say I like watching Cole Palmer play a lot. And talk about a surprise for me, because what was it, like 40 million that you all paid? I was like,
I was
what?
shocked.
Like
Yeah.
I was
40
shocked
million,
that
he's
he
our
was that
best
much.
player by far.
But the thing is, man, is like I think he's on a path for stardom. Like I don't think he's stopping at Chelsea. He might go back to City after De Bruyne leaves, to be honest with you. Like I think the way he plays in that 10 role specifically, I don't like him as much out on the wing, but in the 10, man, he's just picking up spaces. I think he has a huge future. And then also watching some of these like England training, he's so technical. I don't think I really understood that either because he also looks really awkward and lanky, but man, the
Yeah,
guy
he does.
is so technically gifted. When he had his first England call up like 2 weeks ago or the last international break, I mean, I was watching some of those like rondos or whatever, and like he was bossing it. It looked like he had been there for years. So yeah, I'm starting Decky, benching Garnacho and selling Cole Palmer.
You could have done like worst haircuts out of these three too.
Honestly, which
Sheesh.
like probably would have been a great one as well.
Decky might win.
Decky might win by just looking like a normal
Yeah,
ginger
just a
Danish
normal
man.
lad.
He like couldn't. I genuinely think he is so normal, and his stupid LeBron celebration
Oh yeah, awkward.
Dude,
as
that
hell.
was
me off so much. But it just makes me laugh because I like to
it
think
was,
that
it was horrible too. The
Horrible.
LeBron was.
it was horrible. I
forgot
like
he
to
did
think
that.
he's just a goofy Danish dude who loves watching NBA. Like there's a ton of those guys out there, but he's just a goofy lad. So I think that wraps us up. Any final words from the lads? Make sure to follow us on the socials. Let's definitely get the start bench cell. We'll get that up on a poll this week, and we'll let you guys decide how you feel about our final selections there. Yep, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I'm organically growing our Twitter following via talking to dudes at the bar and Tam Ave.
The only way to do it.
I got 2 people to follow us this weekend
We're
on
massive.
the Twitter. We're massive. So if that's how you hear about us, great. Yeah, I think again, Hoove here signing out.
And
That's amazing.
Cheers, lads.
and Fields of Library.
Crickets.